Coming up in the next 30 minutes, we will be analyzing some structural reforms needed to ensure the city's long-term sustainability to help businesses plan. Also in this bulletin, Bank of Ghana to mark Cedi at 60 on July 19. How relevant is that? We shall be discussing that as well. Plus, Ghanaian manufacturers protest selective implementation of ECOWAS protocol on trade.
Otherwise, those competing countries should also open their market for the Ghanaian products also to enter their market. Otherwise, what it means is that we are creating a competitive atmosphere that does not help the local industries.
Details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay on. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Business Live. To our stories, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etuahini has advised government to continue to implement bold fiscal measures to sustain the city's recent good performance. In a comprehensive paper on the city stability, Dr. Etuahini outlined a number of recommendations to help stabilize the city for a long term to drive economic growth. Thankfully, he joins us via Zoom to highlight some of these proposed reforms he believes can sustain the city for businesses to plan. Pleasure you could join us on Business Live. Dr. Richmond Etuahini, always a delight to have you on. First off, what are these major reforms you believe, when implemented, can sustain the city's long-term sustainability?
Thank you very much, Pius, and your good listeners and viewers. You know, we've had this Goggisberg economy for a very long time. And if we really want to move to support the city and the balance of payment, there are structural issues that needs to be addressed with all the speed and alacrity. The first one that I will start with is the way our mining sector is being projected by people. I'm going to give you a data. Between 2014 up to 2023, gold, we extracted 43 billion worth of gold. Could you believe that? It was only 6.7 billion that could be traced to Bank of Ghana's foreign nostro account, just about 14.8%. And I believe that government must seriously leverage, renegotiate on some of these mining, whether it's lithium or gold, bauxite, diamond, whatever, because this is too slow. I mean, it's not even compared to, say, Botswana. It's nothing compared to Botswana diamonds. Botswana diamonds is currently 40%. For every $100, the government retain 40%. And I believe the first structural issue for government to support, which is immediate or short term, is to sit down with all the mining companies. I mean, you hear people talking about when the diamond issue came, people were making a lot of noise. The noise they're making, they have no data. But if you see the data, and there is only one person, I think her ladyship, the former Chief Justice, who has actually spoken about it for a very long time, and then IFRS, but nobody seems to bother. How can you extract 43 billion and you lead only 6.7 billion, which is about 14-15%? I believe the government should summon all the courage. She shouldn't listen to the people who want to parade as if they want to support the foreigners. She should be bold and sit them down that we are not going to go the same way. Right. I mean, Makafuli in Kenya, in Tanzania, he did it, and now go and see what they have done with infrastructure. We sit here and somebody gives you 14% of remittance gold, you think you're doing well. So that is the first one.
Very well.
The second one, which I think Bank of Ghana is tracking seriously, which has helped the current stability, is the remittances. Because if you go to the IMF document 225/107, published in April, it talks about strong remittances. And I'm very glad that if you take, I mean, remittances is even bigger than gold. If we can continuously and continually track and trace remittances for the short term, we may be able to keep stability of the city.
All right.
That are the first 2 points.
All right. So
the next one,
all right, quickly.
About the next one is that the economy. Agric. I mean, in a country which are blessed with all the natural resources, you cannot feed yourself. Importing rice, 1 point something billion every year. Poultry, about 500 million every year. Tomatoes, onions, what have you. So we need to have a structural agric transformation. When I mean that, I don't mean the things that they said, we are creating this one F, 1D. No, we should go and adopt the models that Ivorians are doing, even Burkina Faso, the model that he has for agric. It is never too late. We can go there and learn so that we can structurally transform our agric sector. You can't spend 1 billion importing rice, 500 million importing chicken from America. And I believe that we have the capacity to be able to turn the agric. And having come from the agric, then we think about export diversification. You know, if you produce enough, then you have the opportunity to export. So I believe that if we can set the agric sector very well, producing enough plantain, yam, rice, maize, millet, sorghum, shea butter, and we have enough. If we cannot even manufacture them, we can do added value and export. That is export diversification.
That's
the next thing.
That's fine. So I'm a bit curious about the remittance part. What's your view on the position that a sharp appreciation of the Cedi, for example, could affect remittances negatively? That's been the argument so far.
Well, I mean, it would affect everybody. Those who want to more currency, to affect everybody. If inflation is down, it's good for everybody. If the currency is stable, it's good. Don't be parochial. Don't look for your parochial interest that how much Cedis I get. But the Cedi you get that time cannot buy things that you want to buy. So those who are thinking that when the Cedi, the dollar improves, it means I'm going to get a little Cedis. No, it doesn't work like that. You see, if your currency is strong, you can buy anything at a reasonable price without thinking about inflation or currency depreciation. So those who are complaining about the remittances, we need to strengthen the remittances so that there will be more foreign exchange reserves and also foreign currency to support the Cedi. So I disagree with those who are taking that parochial interest of saying that you will get more Cedi. If you get more Cedis and inflation is 40% and depreciation is 50%, what is the value of your money? You always have to talk about the value of the money.
How expedient should these reforms be implemented? Medium to long term?
Yeah, I said the targets like remittances, for instance, is now and then. And I'm being told, reliably informed, and from the data I receive, I think we are moving on the right trajectory. I mean, I think we have moved from the 50% we used to collect some years ago. I'm told it's now about 60 to 70%. And I expect them to go to the Bangladeshi model, where you can collect as much as 95% through the banking system. And that is my main target, that remittances will move from the current position of 60 to maybe 80%, and that will help the economy. Now, the second one, to me, is the transformation of the agric sector. It is so critical. I think it's more critical than any other thing. If we don't restructure our agric and begin to talk loose about the agric, any money we get from cocoa or gold, we will use to import rice. So we go back to square one. That is why I'm saying that. Let us begin to think about actually structuring and transforming the agric sector to make it more viable, employ more people, and so that people will go there and also support. The next one is the mining. For the mining, it's a short term to medium term. People are singing choruses because they don't have data. That is my worry. People who talk about if government do that, FDIs will go down. They don't have data. Right. If we have data, as I have the data of the total, last year, we mined 11.6 billion. I bet you never got more than 2 billion. This year, it has been projected 14 billion. If we continue with the return, it's about 2-point-something billion. Is that what we want? So I urge the president and his team that they should be bold. They should be bold. Because the very people, if you can get gold, 30% of the gold, or 14 billion, 30%, how much is it? It will support the city. It supports the balance of payment. It supports the reserves. So all these things will even help us to be repaying the loans that the Euro bonds that we have contracted. So for me, president should not be detracted by those who don't have data. They talk narratively.
All right.
If he wants to talk to me, I'll prove your data to him, discuss with him, and tell him, let us go this channel. Because countries have done it. But at least Botswana, which I know, are now talking about 40. By 2030, it's 50-50. If you don't mind, go. And today, gold is going. Currently, it just dropped yesterday. It just dropped from 3,300 and 400 to 3,200 because of the agreement the Chinese and Americans are trying to sign. But it's not going to come. It's not going to come lower than the 3,000 point because people don't trust the American president. People don't have the confidence because the geopolitics which Trump is carrying, it can throw the whole system. He has broken the World Trade Organization rules, and he doesn't care. So we shouldn't look at Trump. We should look at it like the Burkina Faso. They are not looking at France. They are not looking at what the Americans are saying. They are doing what is good for them. Let Ghana begin to look at the Burkina way. We cannot be too radical, but let it be radical like Botswana. At least for Botswana, I know. And then I know Tanzania, the late Makafuli. Let us be bold and stop these people who also try to dance to the tune of their friends in the West.
We should be radical, you say. Finally on this, I want your thoughts about the Bank of Ghana wanting to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Ghana Cedi on July 19. I'm wondering whether that is indeed relevant.
Well, when people die, we celebrate them. When people are born, we celebrate. And I remember the president made a statement, and I want to quote the president. He said, how can you sell alcohol and make loss? Because when we are sad, we drink. When we are crying, we drink. When we are not in any mood, we drink. So, I mean, celebration can come in, but in modesty.
Very well.
I believe that the current finance minister and the Bank of Ghana are people who are very modest, and they won't let it to be like people who will tell you that we want to complete a building at the expense of the economy. I believe these two people, when they bring their head together, they can celebrate it modestly.
Very
and
well.
Ghanaians will see the modest in it. So for me, I have nothing against the celebration, but the caution is to be modest.
Very well. Thank you so much, Dr. Rich Mondetuyahini, banking consultant. Always a delight speaking to you here on Business Live. And talking about the celebration of the Ghana Cedi, we understand the Bank of Ghana has announced that it will celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Ghana Cedi on July 19th. More in this report.
Since its issuance on July 19, 1965, to replace the Ghanaian pound as the sole legal tender, the Cedi has remained a strong symbol of Ghana's economic sovereignty and development. The statement said to adapt to the changing demands of the Ghanaian economy, the Cedi has evolved through several modifications in form and policy direction over the last 60 years. Ghana's tenacity, innovation, and quest for economic stability are all embodied in the Cedi's reforms, from the first notes and coins to the safe currency we use today, the statement said. The BOG explained that, in recognition of the important milestone, the central bank intends to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the issue of the Cedi with a series of nationwide activities and engagement between July and December 2025, including official launch events, public exhibitions, educational campaigns, and stakeholder forums. The anniversary will offer an opportunity for Ghanaians to reflect on the history of the Cedi, to celebrate the progress made, and to reaffirm the collective responsibility to protect the value and integrity of the currency.
And we have more on the Cedi for you. Director at the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Quartey, is calling on the Bank of Ghana and relevant authorities to strictly enforce the country's exchange rate regime to maintain the recent gains in the Cedi's value. He warns that without strong regulatory action and market discipline, the current appreciation could be short-lived, threatening the economic stability. He spoke to Joy Business at the launch of the Youth in Indigenous Enterprises in the informal sector and stakeholder engagement.
Where we are, I think, is good. We don't want our exchange rate to be fluctuating. It doesn't help business planning, even government, debt, revenue. So to ensure stability in our exchange rate, we continue to have the kind of monetary policies we're having. The Bank of Ghana continue to shore up our reserves in terms of gold, take advantage of the geopolitics, because the US dollar is losing a lot of value recently. But it may reverse, given that now there's a deal with China, trade deal with China, that might reduce slightly. But take advantage of what is happening and shore up your gold reserves. We also have to ensure fiscal prudence. If the fiscal authorities go out borrowing and spending lavishly, we run huge budget deficits, that will not stabilize the currency. But if we have a decent fiscal space, certainly the currency will stabilize. Then also enforcing the exchange rules. It's only in Ghana where you can walk to every corner and buy dollar, pound, and walk around with it. In other jurisdictions, they'll take your passport, so you know what it's going to be used for. I think we need to enforce the exchange regime and ensure some stability.
The Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has implored government to capitalize on the recent impressive performance of the Cedi and strong macroeconomic fundamentals to address key bottlenecks hindering the growth of the private sector. President of the Chamber, Stefan Mason Abbas, highlighted the current VAT system, high port charges, utility tariffs, among others, as key challenges hampering their growth. Mr. Mason made this known in an interview with Joy Business.
Also encouraging the government that whatever magic that it performed, it has to sustain that magic. We don't want it to be a 9-day wonder, that today the dollar is going down, tomorrow then it starts shooting up. I mean, when it shoots up, it wipes people's capital out. So whatever magic that was put in to ensure that this goes down, we want to encourage the government to strengthen that magic, whatever it is that it is. And we don't want it to be short-lived as well. One of the concerns that we have expressed already had to do with the increase in tariffs with electricity and water. I think that is also not too good for both domestic and industry. Be that as it may, it is already done, but we don't want to see the frequency of it. So we would want to employ the government to look at that as well, that it is not all the time that electricity and water has to go up, because it affects industry and production, and the bottom line is that the consumer suffers. So these are also key issues that actually as a chamber we've been able to meet the finance and then also IMF and put our position on what we think. That is very important, that it is really aligned, because the VAT system is such that sometimes as even a trader, you don't know where you stand. What VAT you have to pay? Is it a 4%? Is it a 21%? Is it a flat rate and all of that? So streamlining it, it's key. One of the most important issues that we have also spoken about has to do with the port issues. It's really pathetic at the port, but per my personal experience, and this one I want to say that I want the government, I appreciate if the government can capture that. I have had an experience where in paying my port duty, I was asked to pay an interest on the money I'm supposed to pay. And I keep asking myself, how do I pay interest on money that I have not even borrowed? You import stuff, you are supposed to pay duty, they give you the bill, and then they add an interest. For what purpose? So that is something that, I mean, if the government can look at, it's very disheartening.
Still watching Business Live, we have more for you after this break. Hello again, welcome back to Business Live. The National Insurance Commission is intensifying efforts to reduce fraudulent claims in a bid to accelerate the processing and payment of legitimate insurance claims. The Commission is hopeful the move will help reduce fraud in the industry and promote insurance coverage in the country. More in this report.
The NIC said it intends to leverage the 2025 Inclusive Insurance Innovation Challenge to, amongst others, attract proposals that offer innovative solutions to curb fraud in the sector. Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the launch of the challenge, Deputy Commissioner of the NIC, Bernard Ohimimba, said the Commission is keen on adopting innovative and collaborative approaches to improve claims payment.
So claim is a very interesting thing in the insurance space. I think in the last 2 weeks, I had the opportunity to be in Kantamanto, where one of our innovative insurtechs in the space paid about 9 million to women to traders in Kantamanto whose wares got destroyed in the recent Kantamanto fires. Every day, the insurance industry pays almost 2 million in claims every single day to people in the market. So as a market, there's a lot going on in terms of claims payments, right? We believe that there could be more achieved in terms of the speed with which some of these things happen. But then you raise an important question about fraud, claims fraud. So as part of the innovations that we are inviting, we want to see people who bring creative ideas on how we can reduce fraud so that can help us speed up the claim processes. Because normally, when claims come and insurers have questions on it, it prolongs the time that it takes to settle, right? So once you can suppress fraud, then it gives you the confidence to pay claims much quicker. And so this is an area that there's already work going on there as well.
On her part, Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Coordinator, the UNDP, Amina Samo, highlighted the need to broaden insurance coverage, particularly among informal sector workers, to build resilience and promote inclusive growth.
As we go forward, we need more products that will cater for the informal sector. And by the informal sector, we are talking about those traders in the market, the subsistence farmers, the water seller, the cocoa seller, the charcoal seller. We are looking for ways of protecting their livelihoods. We have heard a lot about life insurance. What we think we want to do now is to touch their livelihoods, the goods and services that they provide. What insurance products will be there to be able to serve them. That is the reason we are coming up with this innovation challenge. We want by the end of the challenge to be able to have products from innovators that will cater for the traditionally excluded sectors of the population.
The Food and Beverages Association of Ghana is urging government to ensure a fair trade practice on the use of ECOWAS protocols on trade among member countries. According to the Executive Secretary of the Association, Samuel Agri, Ghanaian products are restricted in other West African countries, unlike Ghana, where all products from ECOWAS member countries are allowed to trade freely. Mr. Agri wants the government to sit up and curb the situation.
We do not agree that the ECOWAS protocol, which seek to protect every country and then open up our markets, some really restrict their market as to what must come in. So we cannot say because of the ECOWAS protocol, Ghana should open his market and then allow most of these beverages to come in to compete with it.
There should be more stricter policies too.
There should be. Otherwise, those competing countries should also open their market for the Ghanaian products also to enter their market. Otherwise, what it means is that we are creating a competitive atmosphere that does not help the local industries. So if they are bringing in all these products, then we should ensure that the Ghana market also succeed in that area. That is why we have been calling on the government to ensure that if the other markets will not open up, the Ghana should ensure that whatever that is coming in should also be restricted.
Are they not paying the right taxes?
The taxes, most of them do smuggle their product into the country. We know that. And we know how they manage to put their product on the market, where the GRA will tell you it's an open market, let us allow everybody to import. But once we are doing that, we are hurting the local industries.
Thank you so much for watching Business Live. I am Pius Kujobaka. We have more for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. There you go on your space there. Always a delight serving you.